Okay, that noise is working. Hello. Trying to get things to work here. Hello, Louise. I don't know where to put this thing. I guess we'll put it up here. It's massive. Hello, Mickey. I'm back. Hello. Hi, everybody. Hey, Diane. Okay. I don't know if things are on or working or not. Hopefully you can hear me okay. I think you can. Okay, so I have to tell you guys, I'm getting over a sinus infection this week. So I sound funny. I have book, and so if I have to cough, I have to cough. So sorry. Today's been like so hard to get things going. It's like, oh, thanks, Sue Ellen. I learned from you guys too. So, yay. Okay, so good afternoon, everybody. It's that time again. It is Facebook Live Sunday here at the Beehive. And guess what? It's National Sewing Month. That's kind of all where we started, right? And even though a lot of us are on the embroidery voyage, we all love embroidery. You know, sewing is one of my huge passions. And that's how I started out. It wasn't until I met Hope Yoder, my BFF, that I learned about embroidery. Well, I mean, not learned about it, but learned how to actually do it and do it the proper way and to get the best results with using the proper threads, the proper stabilizers, and everything like that. But before that, I was a quilter. I am not a garment maker. I will probably never ever make a garment, although I do want to make a quilted coat. I really do. Those are getting popular, and Patty Marty made one, and she is a baby lock goddess, and she made one, and it's actually on the Baby Lock website. And I was like, or maybe I can get someone to make it for me. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. Yeah. So anyways, it's National Sewing Month, and sewing's near and dear to my heart. I love to use my machine. I tell you guys this all the time. Make sure if you have an embroidery combination or a combination embroidery sewing machine, make sure to use the sewing side. And I use it all the time just because you guys know I love to create, and it's just so much fun. But a while back, I was fortunate and blessed and honored by Baby Lock to ask to make a quilt. And I've showed you guys that. I mean, I'm like, I feel like I feel like I post it all the time because I'm like, oh, because it makes me so proud. And what I did was I designed a paper piece quilt because it's so easy to make. And the block that I wanted to use is called Tallahassee. It's where I'm from. Now, this is an old school block way back in the day, and it was foundation piece. However, I took it and tweaked it a little bit and called it Tally. And so it's a paper piecing quilt, and there are a ton of blocks. But if you've never done paper piecing, which that's one of my most favorite things to do, it takes a lot of time. But you can, with paper piecing, the cool thing about paper piecing is you can create shapes that you can't create just by regular piecing. And if you've never done paper piecing before, today's great for you because I'm going to show you my tips and tricks. I've done it all different kinds of ways, but I've learned over the years from amazing people how to get the easy, or how to do it the easiest and not so stressful way. And it's funny that I wanted to do this class because yesterday I actually taught a paper piecing class at the shop here in town. And it's just so much fun. So much fun. So let me see everyone joining on. Thanks, Ronnie. It's that time of year here in Florida when your allergies go crazy and everything's growing. I know it sounds weird, but everything keeps growing. And since we get a lot of rain, we get a lot of mold, and we get a lot of, everything's still growing, and ragweed and all these crazy things that guess who's allergic to. And so it causes me to have these crazy sinus infections, but that's okay. I am lucky that my doctor has been treating me most of my life, and she's like, "Oh, okay, here you go." I go in and see her, and she's like, "Okay, yeah, I know it's your time. Here you go." And so, so I'm lucky in the fact that as soon as I feel it, I know it. I call my doctor, and we get on meds, and I get going. The only bad thing is, guys, is when you're sick right now, or when you have like an infection or something like that right now, what's scary is you may make a little cough and everyone walks away from you because of COVID, and they're scared, and I totally get it. That's the only thing. But I did not want to miss today for you guys at all. So again, if I make some weird noises, just bear with. I'll try to be. And let's see. I'm just making sure there's no questions so far. Melody, sunny California. Y'all got to know I love, and Stacy, y'all got to know I love California. It's so pretty. It's so pretty. The weather to me is just amazing because it's always hot here. Okay, so another thing that's happening today that I have to give a cheer for is today starts football season here in the South. Well, I mean, all over college season, but in the South, it's like a big deal. So today's our first game, and I had to deck myself out. But there we go. All right, go Noles. Okay, there we go. Just had to get it out. So in a little bit, we'll be watching the game and eating hot dogs and doing all kind of stuff. What's on your top today? Yeah, it's the Seminoles. Go Noles. Okay. And this is the old logo. So a couple years ago, and just while we're waiting for people to jump on, a couple years ago, no, this is the new one. I'm sorry. They changed our logo, and not a lot of people were happy with it. And so this is the new one. I like the old one better, but it's hard to find the stuff in it. Okay. All right. Looks like we're doing pretty good here. Okay. So what is paper piecing? If you're not familiar with it, it is basically taking a piece of paper that has a printed pattern on it, and using your fabric, you are sewing directly onto the paper, and eventually you will remove that paper. Now, this is sometimes called paper piecing, sometimes just called foundation paper piecing. And you want to kind of, for the longest time before I even started doing it, there were some confusing terms out there. There was paper piecing, foundation paper piecing, and English paper piecing. So those three terms can be confusing. The first two are the same thing. So there's paper piecing and foundation paper piecing. Same thing. English paper piecing, that's different because with foundation paper piecing or paper piecing, things that are the same thing, we use a sewing machine to sew those. English paper piecing is you're going to most likely sew it by hand. So it's like you see the little hexagon quilts out there. And what you do is you take a hexagon that's on a piece of paper and you wrap the fabric around it, and then you make a bunch of other ones, and then you hand stitch them all together. That's English paper piecing. Now, there are other shapes, of course, out there. However, in general, we kind of think of grandmother's flower garden. Anybody remember that one? And there's tons of hexes everywhere. That is most likely English paper piecing. Now, when it comes to foundation paper piecing or paper piecing, that is most likely, or I mean, most of the time, done on your sewing machine with a piece of paper and obviously fabric. We're not cutting out shapes. The whole shape is on the paper. And let me do this. Let me show you the quilt that I designed, just so you can kind of see what I was talking about earlier. Let's see if I can just go up here, if it just makes it easier. What happens is it puts this weird box where I can't really. So let's go to babylock.com. And again, I have showed you guys this. I'm just going to show you quickly under Learn and Create, Projects. And then we're going to scroll down. And here it is right here. And again, that is all paper piecing. And the reason being is, let's take a look at this pink block right here. And I'm going to show you one in person here in just a moment. But do you see these weird angles? Now that would be hard. I mean, it can be done, but it would be hard to replicate as a regular piecing technique because you're cutting these weird angles. But with paper piecing, we don't have to worry about cutting those weird angles. So this is, again, free on the website, so you can go and create that quilt if you want. Now, let me show you the block that I have, just so you can kind of see. And I still have it on the paper. Okay, so here's the block. Now, this was my prototype, so my center is way off. But I keep this one because this one can show when I'm teaching it how your center can get off. So ignore the center, please do. But I do want you to see the angles on the block. So let's take a look at this block right here. Okay, can y'all see it? Good. And see these weird angles in the white fabric, the background fabric? That would be hard to achieve if we did not use paper piecing. So I'm going to flip it over. See the paper on the back? See how it has the pattern? Well, we're actually going to do this block together. So that way you can see how we stitch on it. Now, when I zoom in or when I get to the actual block, we'll talk about the numbering and everything that's on there. But it makes some great quilts. Now let's talk about some other things that I've done. I don't have a lot of samples here because I'm one of those people that when you make something, sometimes you just give it away, you know. But I do have, first off, I do have a ton of my blocks because I want to make another quilt, obviously. But this is a class I teach at the shop. And this pattern is by Flying Parrot Quilts. And this one is called, oh my gosh, I'm already forgetting the name of it just because of, Tiny Jewel. And fell in love with this one, had to make this. So see this hummingbird? That is all paper pieced. Now, what I showed you, my pattern a minute ago, that was very linear, right? Now, if we look at the bird's head and the beak, you see how it's curving? That is hard to create with regular seams. So we need something to build on that. And that's where paper piecing comes in. And again, I have the Tiny Jewel right here. And let me show you what one of those pieces looks like. And I'll point out where this goes. I have one of the paper piecing right here, paper pieces right here. And this one's large enough that you have to piece it together. So if I'm looking at this guy, and I look at this piece. I know it's, if you're not used to this, it's okay. I'm going to hold it kind of like this. They are backwards, and we're going to talk about why everything's backwards here in a minute. But this piece is actually where her little feet are. So you see those teensy weensy little feet? How hard would that be to just regular piece? Well, that's why paper piecing can be our friend. One other one I'm just going to show you. I have others hanging up around the room, but they're hard to get down because they're up high. But one other, I have a wall that I over on the other side of the room, and this is where I've done what are they called? They're, see, my brain's not working today. So basically on Instagram, you can join groups where you do you meet other people and you make things for other people, and that term is just gone out of my head. Well, I like the paper piecing ones because it's really fun. And this was one that was made for me through one of those groups because I love Sleeping Beauty. And that's all paper piecing. Now look at her eyes and her lips. Isn't that cool? The only thing that's weird, she doesn't have a nose, but you know what? She's special. That's okay. I also have a beautiful bee that looks just like my logo bee. And I just couldn't get up there to drag it down. I'll drag it down another time and show you guys. And that was done by a girl named Noelle. And it's absolutely stunning. But you can see here, her hair, her eyes, her lips, that would be really hard to achieve by just regular piecing. So what do I mean when I say paper piecing? Let me grab my paper right here. And this is for the tally quilt. So what happens is when you buy a paper piecing pattern, you will get a pattern inside of there that has the design drawn out or the pattern drawn out, kind of like I showed you a minute ago with that little piece. Now the tally one looks just like this. And what this is this is one petal of the whole block. So if we go in, what did I do? Okay, well, we'll just grab one. Here it is. So if we take a look at this guy, my poorly executed one, we look at this guy, this is just one of these petals right here. So it takes 4 of these to make the flower. And we're going to call it a flower just to make it easier. So it takes 1 of these or 4 of these to make this. And you can notice that it's a big one. So it's really, really easy. And it's a very beginner friendly one. Let me make sure I have no questions or anything really quickly. Oh, no, I want comments on. Okay, you are doing good. Thanks. Okay. Okay. All right. So you can see here, super easy to look at. But how do I execute this? I'm going to show you. Now, what do I need for this? I have a couple special things that I really love to use. Now, when you get a paper piecing pattern, in the beginning, what happens is, except for if it's not a downloadable one, let's say it's the Tiny Jewel that I bought, what will happen is they print it on regular printer paper. What I do is I never use this one, ever, ever, ever. This will be the one I can reuse. And also, I don't like using this type of paper in paper piecing because printer paper is really hard to tear away at the end. And you can end up stretching your stitches. So there is some paper piecing paper that I've been using for years that I love. And it almost feels a little bit like newsprint, and it tears beautifully away. And it's called Carol Doak foundation paper piecing foundation paper for paper piecing. So Carol Doak, and actually what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and type that in really quick. And it's made by Carol Doak. Foundation paper. And it comes in a huge, okay, so I typed it in there. It comes in a huge pack. And I have a printer where I have the copier on top and then you can run the paper through. So I just take one of these right here and I put it on the copier and I put this paper through my printer, and it has worked on almost, I think, well, any printer I have tried it on, it is printed out beautifully. So I don't know the differences between printers like ink and all that. That confuses me. So do a test first before, like run one piece through with a simple writing or something on it just to see if it'll work on yours. Now, a lot of patterns like mine on the Baby Lock website come as a PDF. So all you have to do is download the PDF, put this paper in your printer and print it off, however many copies you may need. And there you go. So that is the Carol Doak Foundation paper. It's just the one that I like. I know there's a bunch out there, but I've been using this one for a really long time and I absolutely adore it. It's like I could be her spokesgirl. Like, hey, I love her stuff. So look for that. My other favorite tool that I have that I use for paper piecing is the Add a Quarter ruler. Okay, I've been paper piecing for a really long time. Did not have this until, a few years ago. And when I did not have this, I was a terrible paper piecer. When they came out with this and I got this, I am awesome at paper piecing. And the reason being is the cool thing about these are, and it's actually called Add a Quarter ruler. And I can't remember, CM Designs is who it's by. And let me type that in for you. So let's just go ahead and get that up. So Add a Quarter ruler by CM Designs. There we go. So y'all have that now. So what's so great about this ruler? Okay, well, it's kind of hard to see, but if you look at it, it looks like a regular ruler, right? And it may have like inches and all that on there. But do you see this top part, how it looks a little thicker? If I flip this guy over and I start to flip it over, what you'll notice, and I'm going to try to get it out of there, is this little guy right here is a shelf. So this is an actual shelf. So it sticks out. When we go through the process, you'll see why that's so important. Love this ruler. And they make them in different colors. I've had this one for a really long time. The other thing is if you can find one that has a beveled edge like this, they may be harder to find now, but if you can still find one that has a beveled edge, I'm going to show you why that's really helpful and really important. Then get this. Now, if you're going to do paper piecing that's super tiny, because they're out there, they have an Add an 1/8 ruler as well. So my two favorite products for doing paper piecing is the Carol Doak Foundation paper for paper piecing and the Add a Quarter rulers. Ooh, they're so cool. So make sure you have something like that. If you don't, it's okay. You can still do this process. It's no big deal, but I can tell you if you're going to do a lot of paper piecing, you want to use these. Now let's talk about thread. What thread do I want to use? I like at least a 50 weight. I use cotton because I'm a truist, traditional quilter. So I use a 50 weight cotton. Now, one that's really good, that's a little bit thinner than 50 weight, even though it says 50 weight, believe it or not, it's really weird, is Aurifil. And that is a great one to use with paper piecing. The Madeira cotton is amazing. So you can use really any cotton thread. But as I'll always tell you, make sure it's a good quality cotton thread. What needle would I use? I go back and forth on this. I generally like to use a Microtex 70. Why? Because when you're sewing on the paper and it's perforating the paper. And so it's a really tiny needle. And I just happen to like that. Can I use an 80 universal? Of course you can. You can kind of use whatever you want. I just wouldn't go any bigger than an 80. Now, what about the settings on my machine? When you go to sew, it is best to sew with a regular straight stitch, but you want to take that stitch length down to 2.0. No smaller, no bigger. 2.0. And why? Because again, when we're sewing on the fabric and the paper, it's better for when you're perforating the paper that if you have a smaller stitch, it's going to tear much more nicely. So those are kind of my little tips for that, right? Well, let's talk about, actually, let's switch the camera over and get to work. Let's go put a block together. Now, I am going to be back and forth in between my design area and my machine. So bear with me. As you guys know, I may fall, I may do something silly, but bear with me. Let's see, anything? Okay, good. All right, here we go. So the block that we're going to work on today is this one right here. This is the block for the tally quilt. And it's just going to show you how easy it is. Now you can see there's a bunch of different sections. You know what? I'll show you over there. So let's switch over here. And of course, if you have questions, stop me and we'll take a look at those. All right, so let me fix my screen there. Make it look a little better. That's really dark, right? Well, we don't need that to be happening. Okay, here we go. So let's go in there. All right. All right, how's everybody looking there? Still a little dark, so I'm going to lighten it up just a little bit. There we go. Okay. Now, another thing that I have that I absolutely love is this light board by Daylight. I am a big fan of Daylight's products. I have their lights all around my room, and you can get those through your National Baby Clock dealer, right? Your retailer. And what's great about this light board is if you're an artist or anything like that, these are great. But when I'm doing paper piecing, it really does help me see what I'm doing, because there's something I want you to remember when doing paper piecing. You're going to be working backwards. It sounds scary, but my favorite term to use for this is backwards and in heels. What does that mean? Well, when Ginger Rogers, we all know who she is, the fabulous woman she was, would dance with Fred Astaire, she said she had to do everything backwards and in heels. So to me, that means she was much more an awesome dancer than Fred Astaire was, right? And so if we kind of think that, having a little saying in your head, what that'll do is kind of remind you to keep when you're sewing on this, when you're doing things, that you're going to be working backwards. So in my head, I always think backwards and in heels, backwards and in heels, because Ginger Rogers is an awesome woman, something like that. So having a light source or a light board or something like this will help you, especially because we're going to be working from the wrong side. So if I'm working from the wrong side and I do not have anything that I can see, I can't see my lines. I can't see where I'm working. So this Daylight light box or light board, look how skinny it is. Is that not awesome? The other thing that's great about it is that I can turn the light down or make it brighter, or I can make it darker, which is really cool. So, and they're very inexpensive, guys. So if you're going to do this, I would suggest getting one of these. Now let's talk, I need a glue stick. That's the other thing that I like to use. Mine is a glue stick. So I'm going to grab my glue stick over here, and I'm also going to grab a stick pin. I do like using these as well. So just a regular pin. Okay, here's the thing with paper piecing. When you're using fabric, think bigger is better, okay? Because we are doing everything so non-traditionally, we want pieces of fabric that are going to be bigger and even bigger than you think to cover these areas. Why? It just works out better. Now, if you're one of those people that cannot stand wasting fabric, this may not be the technique you want to learn, because you do end up wasting a little bit of fabric. Now, what I say is you take those scraps, you put them in the bag, and if you can find someone who, or maybe a charity or something that makes uses scraps for baby quilts or dog beds or anything like that, hang on to them and then give them to them. Oops, I turned it off. So there we go. Okay, so let's talk about what this looks like. So first we have our shape, whatever shape we're going to have. And again, let me grab what it is. I also have an iron set up because I am really weird when it comes to doing this. I like to have an iron. Okay, so this is what, let's lay it here. This is what it's going to end up looking like. So here's my shape. What you're going to start noticing first when you're looking at this, you are going to start looking for numbers. You're going to look for 1, 2, 3. Now, if they have a letter in front of them, be mindful of that. But on mine, if you download my pattern, ignore that letter. It's just the program that I design it in, and you can't take that letter out. But what we do always want you to be notice or be mindful of are the numbers. So right here, and it's maybe a little hard for you to see, but that's a 1. Right here is 2. Right here is 3. Right here is 4, 5, 6, and 7. So I want to start with number 1. And what does that mean? Well, remember, we're going to work backwards and in heels. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my block. I'm actually going to cut some of this excess off. I don't need it. The other thing I do want you to be mindful of when you're doing paper piecing is always leave this outside line. Do not cut that outside line off. So let me get a piece of paper scissors, and I'm going to cut some of this excess off, but leaving that line and leaving it, you know, about a 1/4 inch beyond those outside lines. There we go. That's going to be much easier to work with. Okay, so now I'm going to find my number 1. If I have a plan and have my fabric all chosen for each of these areas, how do you know? In the pattern, whatever pattern you're going to use, they're going to let you know what to use where. If I look at this block I've done, I have background fabric all through here. I have a petal fabric, and then I have my center square fabric. So I can kind of compare that and go, okay, so A1 is going to be a background fabric. A3 is going to be a background. And you can take a pencil or whatever and write that in there if you want to. I can't reach my pencils. And then, you know, and some patterns will actually have in there background or focus or cornerstone or whatever. But so A1 is going to be my background fabric. Let's talk about my fabrics first. Now I know that A4 right here, the petal is going to be in the center here. So I've got a big old honking piece of fabric. Do you see how big I've got that piece of fabric? When I say that you want, you know, a little bit larger fabric, it's okay to cut a little bit larger fabric. I go big or go home. That's because I need to make sure that this fabric is going to cover every inch of this petal area. So what I do have is my background and my cornerstone. Look how big I have my cornerstone. So you can see that, right? So that covers. Now in my pattern, I actually have the exact amounts you need. So here for my background fabric in A1, I know that if I take this piece, it's going to cover it. So here's where it gets tricky. So this is face up. This is the right side. I need to work from the wrong side of the paper piecing pattern. So I'm going to take it and flip it over. And now my number 1 is way over here. That is good. That's where we want it. So when you start the very first piece, this is what's going to happen with your very first piece. I like to have a glue stick. And what I'm going to do, and this is only going to be on the very first piece that you start with, on number 1, I'm going to take a dab of glue. I'm going to put it over where the 1 is, and I'm going to lay this big old honking piece of fabric over number 1 with the right side up. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my trusty add-a-quarter ruler, And I'm going to take this and flip it over. So you're going to be doing a lot of flipping, folding, and sewing. So I'm going to flip it back to the right side. Here we go. Now it's over here, right? And now that I have number 1 covered, I need to find out where number 2 is. So my number 2 is right here, which happens to be my cornerstone block. And I need to find the number between, or excuse me, the line between 1 and 2. So there's a line right here between 1 and 2. Well, what am I going to do? I'm going to turn this just so it's easier for me to see. I'm going to take the edge of my add a quarter ruler. I'm going to lay it directly on the line. I'm going to pick just the paper up, and I'm going to fold this directly on that line. So I have folded the paper directly on the line between 1 and 2. And now what I want to do, this is why add a quarter ruler is so amazing, is I do not have a cutting board on this. So I'm going to do this a little off to the side. But what you want to do is, remember how I said there's a little shelf right here? This is on the underneath, there's a little shelf. I'm going to take that shelf and I'm going to butt it up against the fold in the fabric. So it stops. And now what I'm going to do is trim this off. So I'm just going to kind of swoop it over here where you can't see and trim that off. And I'm just using a rotary cutter. So let's put that back. Now I have a 1/4 inch beyond the line between 1 and 2. So if I fold it over, there's my line between 1 and 2. You can see my fabric is a 1/4 inch beyond the line between 1 and 2. Okay, well, what does that mean? Well, we're going to flip again. So let's flip it over. And now my 1 and 2 are right here. I'm going to take my cornerstone fabric and I'm going to turn it to the wrong side facing me. And I'm going to align the raw edges where that 1/4 inch seam is. We're going to call that a seam now. And I'm going to line that up. Now, what needs to happen is this fabric, when I sew it and fold it over, it needs to cover number 2, and it needs to cover the 1/4 inch on the outside. So that's what that outside line is. That's your 1/4 inch line. So if you're unsure of that, if you have a piece of fabric you're unsure that is going to cover, what you want to do is take a pin it, and then what you can do is flip it over and make sure that it's going to cover everything, all of number 2. That looks good. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pin it a little lower and back. This is just going to hold it to the paper for me when I transfer it over to my sewing machine. I'm going to flip this back over where the printed side is. And now we can see that because of the color, we can see that my number 2 fabric and my number 1 fabric are a 1/4 inch beyond the line between 1 and 2. So now guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to take this over to the sewing machine, and we are going to stitch directly on this line between 1 and 2. And that's the only line we're going to stitch on. So let me get switched over to the sewing machine. So I am on the Solaris today. Wait. I have no idea what that is. Okay. Oh, that's because I put it, hey, you can see my messy room. There we go. Excuse me. So I'm going to run over here. And I am now going to place my paper piecing under my machine. Now the printed side is right side up, and I'm going to stitch on the line between 1 and 2. And again, I am using a 2.0 stitch length, and I'm just going to start right there, and I'm just going to stitch. Okay, well, that's going really slow. There we go. Just gonna stitch and I'll stop where that line stops, cut my thread. I'm gonna flip it over, remove that pin, and now I'm gonna take it back over to my cutting area, or maybe you can finger press this, or I like to use an iron to go ahead and press this. I'm sorry. You can finger press this. So what I did, I don't think you guys can see that, and I apologize. So now what I'm going to do is take my number 2 piece and flip it over. There we go. I am going to either finger press or heat press it. So I'm going to just press this with my iron. We're going to jump back over to the, now this is where you do not want everything set up across the room, to be honest with you. I have to only because of cameras, but you want everything to be right with you. You don't want to keep jumping up and down, up and down. Okay, so what do we got now? Let me make sure there's no questions. Okay, good. All right, so what have we got right now? Well, we have covered number 1, we've covered number 2. I'm going to flip it over so you can see it from the back or from the right side. Okay, so number 1 and number 2 are covered. So where are we going to go next? That's a great idea, Diane. Use batiks. Okay, so where are we going to go next? Well, we've done 1, we've done 2. Now we need to do 3. So there is a line between number 2 and number 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my ruler and I'm just going to turn it towards me so I can see better. And I'm going to put my ruler down on the line in between 2 and 3. And I'm going to take the fabric, the paper, and fold it up and give it a crease. And now I'm going to use the shelf on my outer quarter ruler and I'm going to butt it up and I'm going to trim this off. So I'm just going to slide it off to the side and then I'll bring it back over and we'll pretend like, oh, well, that's not perfect, but it's okay. And paper piecing in the back. Okay, so there we go. I've done my trimming. I'm going to open it back up and I'm going to flip. Now I need to take my background piece again, because we had decided that 3 is a background piece. And I'm going to take it with the wrong side facing up and I'm going to place it right where we cut, butting up the edges. And I lost my pen. And now what I'm going to do is now take it, flip it over, and I'll take it over to my sewing machine and I'm going to stitch on the line between 2 and 3. So let's quickly do that. Just takes me a moment to get over there. Okay, I'm over here and I'm going to stitch on the line between 2 and 3. Okay. And I'm literally stopping at the lines. I'm not going to stitch over, stitch under, anything like that. If we can see this right here, you can, if you can kind of see my pink thread. I just went for between 1 and 2 and 2 and 3. I'm like right there. So I'm going to flip it over. And I'm going to take this piece and flip. Oh, so sorry, you can't see that. So I'm going to take it, push this piece over. And now we can see something starting to form. And hold it up. So this is my cornerstone right here. I'm forming my cornerstone. Now if I flip it over and take a look and go look for my number 4, that's going to be this big honking piece right here. So let's get you back over to my cutting area. Get my workout today. All right, so I'm going to press that real quick. There we go. I just like to press mine. It's totally up to you if you want to or not. Okay, so this is the wrong side. So let's look at the right side. And now we need to go to number 4, which is right here in the center. This is where it can get confusing for people because they're like, okay, well, you tell me I'm supposed to go from 3 to 4, right? And I'm supposed to fold on the line between 3 and 4 and cut and then stitch. You may think this is where you got to kind of look at it as a whole. That when you go next, you're only going to stitch on this line right here after we get everything cut. You actually want to do the whole line between, so you want to go from here to here. And that is between A1 and 4 and A3 and 4. So you kind of have to look at it and kind of think about it. So I'm going to take my handy dandy ruler. I'm going to lay it on the line that's going between A1 and A3 and A4. I keep saying A. I'm going to say 1. I'm sorry. It's just because I'm reading it. Between 1, 3, and 4. I'm going to fold it back. And guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to take this shelf. I'm going to lay it up against it. And I'm going to trim off all this extra right here. So if we can see that, I'm going to trim off all that extra right there. So let me get it over here. Just going to use my rotary cutter. Put it back up here so you can see it. And you can see that I now have my 1/4 inch seam right there. So when I open it up, you're going to see the right side, but you can see my 1/4 inch seam right there. I'm going to flip it back over. And now we can use our petal piece. Now, again, the directions for whatever company you're using may give you certain sizes to cut. I did in mine. But if you're unsure, go bigger. Now, here's where it gets weird for a lot of people, because you may think you have cut a certain piece big enough to cover this piece right here. Because look, it's kind of small, right? And you may go and hold it across this way. What you want to do is look at the angle you're about to sew. So if I take this piece and put it right sides together, line up my area, and I take a pin. I'm just going to grab one. I left it over. This is really important. If I take a pin and I pin it right in that 1/4 inch seam area, and I take this guy and fold it over, I know it's going to cover that whole area I need to. Be careful, because if you take, and let's pretend like this piece was smaller, and I decided, and I thought this was going to cover, and I go, and this is, you see how the top part, oh wait, you can't, I'm sorry guys, let me fix that. There we go. If I take this, sorry, I have to make it bright again and then go back down. It's the only thing it's different on this one. So it's going to get bright for a second, and then it's going to go back down. There we go. Okay. Geez. I think my camera and the light board are trying to work together, and it's just not working right. One more time. Close your eyes. How annoying. Okay, oh, I really want to show you guys what I mean. And I'm having a hard time here. Okay, see, when I try to fix it, okay, we can see it a little bit. Okay, when I try to fix it, my camera's trying to adjust for the lighting too. Okay, so if I take a piece that's too small and I put it here and I stitch it and fold it up, and I have that much, let's just turn it off. There we go. If you can kind of see, I'll just take a pencil and draw it. This is really annoying. Okay. Okay, so you can kind of see that now, right? Okay, so right here, if I take this piece and I try to fold it up and it does not cover this area, I'm not going to have success. I am so sorry, guys. I apologize. Okay. But if I have a big old honking piece like this, then I know I'm going to be able to cover that whole shape. Now, this is really important when you're doing the outside area, because on the outside area, we have these two outer lines. We have an inner line and an outer line, and the fabric has to cover both of those lines. So, all right, so let's just take this piece and take it and just pin it on this big old honking piece. Or now things are falling. And we're going to just take it over to the sewing area and we are going to stitch it real quick. You guys are such troopers for hanging on, watching me do this. I really know what I'm talking about here. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is stitch on the line that is between 1 and 3 and 4. So it's one long line. All right, so that's done. Let's flip it over. Let's take a look. And when I take this and fold it up, it almost covers everything, right? Well, I'd rather be safe than sorry. So let's go back over to the cutting area. There we go. All right. And I'm going to press that seam. So here is what we have right now. And I'm going to pull it up and you can see that it's covering everything. That's nice. But I want to press that real quick. And again, I just think if you press these as you go along, I always get a better result. It just seems crisper. It seems clearer. It just seems nicer. Okay, so I've got that seam on there. Let's flip it over. And now what we want to look for is we're done with 4. So we're going to go to 5 now. And 5 is up here, and this is a background piece. So 5, 6, and 7 are background pieces. We're actually almost done with this block. What I'm going to do now is take my trusty ruler. I'm going to place it on the line between 4 and 5, flip it up, fold it. I'm going to use that little shelf on the 1/4 ruler, and I'm going to trim that off. There's my 1/4 inch line. I'm going to fold it over, flip it, fold, flip, cut. And I'm going to take the right side of my background fabric and place it to the right side of my, we'll call that petal fabric. And now I'm just going to go over there and quickly sew this. I'm not going to switch back and forth for this part because I'm going to do this kind of quickly. But again, I'm stitching on the line between 4 and 5. Goodness, I'm so sorry. I sound so horrible. Okay, let me jog back across the room here. There we go. I'm going to take my number 5 piece and push it straight up and give it a little press. Okay, it's looking like a hot mess, but man, is it going to be cute when we're done. All right, so let's flip it over because remember, we're working backwards. And now we're on number 6. Now notice that we're not doing anything between this is number 4, this is number 6, 5 is way over here. So this is where it gets confusing for a lot of people because we're always telling you when you're doing this, you go to the next number and you go to the line between. You would think there would be a line between 5 and 6, but there's actually not. but there is a line between 4 and 6. So we've done 5, so we go find number 6 and we find the line that needs to be sewn. So I'm going to take my ruler again, place it on the line between 4 and 6 now, flip it up, crease, butt up my little shelf, cut that 1/4 inch area. So I've got my 1/4 inch right there. And I'm going to flip it back over, take one of my background pieces. I'm going to take the right side of the background piece to the right side of the petal piece, place it on there, go stitch it real quick. And then we're almost done. We have one more piece to stitch. Okay. Here we go. There it is. I'm going to take it, flip it up, and press. Still looking a little bit like a hot mess, but you just wait. All right, there it is. Now, if I flip it over, I have one more. So now I have done 5, 6, and now I need to do 7. And again, there's not a line between 6 and 7, but there is a line between 4 and 7 right here. So I'm going to take my ruler. I'm going to fold, crease, use my shelf to butt it up against that paper. Come off to the side here so I don't cut on my. Now, like I said, guys, if you end up getting this, order the cutting mat that goes on top of it. I really need to order one because I think that's genius. So that way you don't have to move back and forth. Okay, I'm going to open this up and then flip it over. I'm going to take my last background piece and I'm going to put my right side to right side. And I'm going to stitch this last one. And I'll be right back. So again, I'm stitching on the line between 4 and 7 now. And again, that's where it gets confusing in paper piecing, is if your numbers don't go all the way in a row, it's like, why would I stitch on the line between 4 and 7 and not 6 and 7? It just depends on how the pattern is set up. Okay, here we go, moment of truth. Oh, that looks crazy, Anna. Well, let's press it. Okay. All right, so I'm going to take this down now. And let's take a look at it. Well, that does not look like this, does it? Not at all. Well, this is how you finish up the block. Okay, so you're going to flip it over. And what we need to notice is we have an inside line right here. This inside line is your stitch line when you go to piece your blocks together. But you have a line that is outside of that. So that is your outer line. That is your 1/4 inch seam allowance. What? Pretty cool, huh? So now all I have to do is take a regular ruler. I put my ruler on the outer line. Wrong side. Love these Quilter Select rulers. There's something sticking here. And I'm going to trim directly on that outer line. And I'm going to do that all the way around. And now, after all that's cleaned up, look, ta-da, there is one of my petals. I'm so proud of myself. And honestly, this is one of the easiest ones you're going to do. Now, let me grab my other petals here, and I'll show you if you end up doing this actual quilt, how these go together. So I have one petal here. I have the next petal here. I've got one here and one here. How cute! Now, where do you go from here? It's actually fairly easy. So what you're going to do is you'll take 2 of these and you'll put them right sides together. What I like to do is, I lost my pen here, but I got one. What I like to do is I like to come where, okay, remember I said the inner line is going to be your stitch line. I like to come at the corner, take my pen and put it in at the corner, flip it around, and try to find the corner of the other piece. And that will match them up on right there exactly. And then what you're going to do is you're just going to line those up. You're going to take it over to your sewing machine and you're going to stitch on that inside line right there. And what that will do is it will join the blocks together. Here's my bad version of it. Here's my bad version of it. Very bad. This is the first one I did. So, but what I did was on the first 2 blocks, I joined them together, or they would be right here. You join them together, and then you'll have 2 units, and you'll take those 2 units and stitch them together, and you're stitching on the inside line. Now, I propose, if you guys want, maybe on a Saturday sometime soon or anything like that, we could do a free little sit and sew together. If anyone wants to try to make these blocks and maybe make a table runner out of them or make the full quilt. And we could do a sit and sew and we'll have a little sign up so I know people are coming and all that. And I'll show you all the tips and tricks about how to get this together where everything's even. And we'll actually make a couple of blocks together. So if you would like that, just, say yes in the comments there. And let's see. So with paper piecing, I'm going to get you back over to me here. With paper piecing, there is a lot to learn about it. However, it can be so much fun and it could really, let's see, I think I've knocked myself off here. All right, there we go. Okay, it can be a lot of fun and there's a lot of work that goes into it, but it's really cool when you see your finished product. Just like this hummingbird here. This hummingbird was a lot of fun to make, but it was a lot of work, but it came out so beautifully. Absolutely beautifully. And I was very, very proud of myself when I was done with it. And the cool thing about Flying Parrot Quilts is when you buy her pattern, this is the large size. She gives you a link to go to get 2 other free sizes of them. So I thought that was really cool. So let's see here. Yes, I got a yes. Okay. Got a yes. Okay, I got 1 yes. Well, we'll have to do a tally quilt. Yeah, Kathy, that would be fun. We'll have to do a tally quilt class because that would be fun. I mean, it's free. Why not? You get a free pattern. You get to hang out with me. Okay, cool. Well, we'll have to schedule something and it'll probably be on a Saturday. Okay, so what else have we got on the agenda tonight? Oh yeah, we need to talk about the updates that are going on because we have had an update for the Altair Meridian. And I told you guys that I would show you how easy it is to do that. Now, if you have Wi-Fi capability, it's easy that way to do the update. But let me show you on an actual USB stick because it's really easy. So give me a split second because I just want to move my camera over to the Meridian because I haven't updated mine yet. I wanted to do it in front of you guys. And let me get the camera over there so we can do it together. It's just going to take me a second. I've got the camera taped there. If you guys could see my room right now, it's hysterical. It's like a fabric bomb, or every kind of sewing bomb went off in this room. One day, I'm going to have big enough room to do it. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and turn the machine on. I didn't turn it on purpose, but I'm going to get it warmed up here. So I'm just getting my machine on right now. And I just want to check something. Okay, we're good. That's what I wanted to check. Okay. All right. So what I have here is a regular old USB stick. I am actually using a small USB stick. I don't know what I'm supposed to use. I mean, I could read directions, right? That'd be nice. Okay, well, let's talk about how we find the updates first. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump out to the interwebs and we're going to go to babylock.com, which we're actually on here. And I'm just going to go to the home page so you can see what's happening. Now, the easiest way to find your update for your machine is you can either, I'm going to get rid of some of this stuff here. You can either just go to the search bar and type in Altair or Meridian. You can go to our products right here, click on it and go to machines and find your machine. So let's go here. And I'm going to go to the Meridian because that's the one that I have. But you remember the Altair Meridian are basically the same machine. But you do want to go to your machine. So if you have an Altair or a Meridian, make sure you go to your machine. So I'll click on machines and I'm going to scroll down until I find down here, single needle embroidery. I'm going to scroll down until I find my machine. So there's the Meridian right there. I'm going to go into, I'm just going to click on it. I can click on it or click details. And this is what I love about BabyLock. It's so easy to find what you're looking for. Okay, so I'm in my machine. I'm going to scroll down a little bit. And what I'll see is additional product details right down here. All right. There we go. Okay, right below that, I see manuals, updates, and brochures. So I'm going to click on that. And this is where I'm going to find my updates. And right here, it says you must extract the zip files, blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, that's fine. So I'm going to click and I'm going to check, am I on the right one? Because I want to make sure, because that says 1.10. I read it wrong. I was like 1.01. That's low. Okay, I read it wrong. Okay, so right down here, you'll see the latest update for your machine. And what you're going to do, depending on what computer you're on, guys, and now I don't know if yours downloads differently than mine, but I'll kind of get you there. So I'm going to click on download, and mine comes down and it'll drop a little box down here. But if you can't find it, I'll show you where to find your downloads. So I'm going to let mine's just giving me a second. It's telling me it's downloading and I'm just going to watch it and it'll tell me when it's ready. There we go. So it's ready and I'm going to just close out of everything here. I'm going to, it's not done downloading, my bad. Let me close out. Maybe I may have not had, oh, okay. Let me make sure that it did download. 1 second. Okay, it looks like it did. Okay. All right, so let me get y'all back up on the screen here. Okay, so this. So something's going on with my computer real quick, guys. Let me just open. Maybe I should have it open. That's probably good. Where did all my stuff go? Like everything disappeared. Ooh, this is scaring me, everyone. Okay. Okay. Well, I'm just going to open up my folders here. I'll just do it that way. Okay. All right. Thanks for bearing with me, guys. All right. Here we go. Okay. So you have an area that has folders. And sometimes down at the bottom of your screen, you'll see a little file folder. It just depends on what machine. If you are on a Mac, I don't know where it downloads to, but on a PC, it's always going to download to the downloads file, unless you have some other area set. And if you click open one of your folders, it doesn't matter which folder you have things saved to, because on the side, you're going to have an area that has these little icons here. And there's one that's called downloads. If I click on that, mine shows me the latest downloads. So this one was the version update right here. So I'm going to tap on that, and you have to extract that file because it is what we call a zipped file, because there's a little zipper on it. That means that we can't just open it up and start using it. We need to remove the files from there. Now, I'm not a computer person, but I do know that. So what I do is I use my right click when it's highlighted in blue or whatever color yours highlights, and it'll give me a little window like this, and it'll say extract all. So I'm going to extract it by selecting that. Now, all I have to do is hit extract down here when it opens up a little window, and it'll open this up right here. Now, what I need to do, I'm going to stop it right here. I'm going to take my USB and I'm going to place it into my computer here. If I can see, I can't see. Okay. Let's just remove that. Okay. All right, I'm placing my USB in the computer. Now, what I'm going to do first is it'll open up, okay? Now, you see I have something on there. I need this USB to be as clean as possible. So let me pull this. Oh, wait, you can't. Can you see that? You cannot see that. I don't. So let me show you this real quick. So stop sharing. Okay, let me reshare what I just opened up. All right, this is my USB drive right here. And what you can see is I have a set of directions on there. I need this to be the cleanest USB I have ever used. Now, if I just take and delete that, it doesn't get it as clean as you think. What you have to do is if you come down here where you see where your USB is, it'll say USB drive, whatever. And make sure this is the same USB that you're using. What you can do is right click on it. You can come up here to the word format, click on format, and it's going to ask you something. It's going to say, hey, are you sure you want to do this? I'm going to say, yep, start. And it's going to say, are you sure? Because this is going to delete everything off of it. It's going to be a super clean USB. And I'm going to say, yes, I am ready. And what it'll do is it will clean that USB up. And that way it's like nothing on there. So let's go back to our shared screen here, or I say shared screen, you're probably like, whatever. Yeah. Okay, there it is. So I'm going back to my update. Oops, I'm just trying to move it here. And the one that I want to put onto the USB is this one right here, and it'll say UPF file. And I am just going to click on it. I'm going to left click to pick it up and drag it down to wherever it says USB. Here's the thing, and it's going to copy it over there. I would only have one USB in your computer. I would not have a bunch of stuff hooked up to it at this point. And mine's probably going slowly because I do have a bunch of stuff hooked up to it just because I'm filming right now. So this may take just a moment. Let's see if there's any questions, comments. Yes, Marianne, 1 gig, but you can use up to a 4 gigabyte, and that's what I'm. Thanks, Norma. Yeah. Oh, Diane, do them feet. The feet are easy. You can do those feet. They're tiny though. I mean, it depends on which size you're doing. Because I know if I do the medium or the small one on the tiny Joel, those feet are tiny. But on the big one, on the large size, it's fine. All right, we're getting there. Excuse me, guys. So sorry. Now, what you can't see is my screen is it is copying this file to the USB. And so we're at about 76% right now. And we're going, and that's, you're kind of just looking at it. Oh, I can get out of that screen right there. There we go. And let me just take a look. There we go. Okay. All right. I'm almost at 90% complete. And we're almost at 100%. We're almost to takeoff. There we go. Now that file is on my USB. So I can come and use my special little USB eject icon down at the bottom and take my USB out. All right, so it's on here now. And it's the only thing that's on here right at the moment. So let's jump over to the machine, to the Meridian, and let me show you how easy it is to do this update. It's really super easy. Oh, for some reason, 1 second, it's saying I am not plugged in, and maybe it's a little loosey-goosey. Huh. Okay, 1 second. It's trying to read the device now. Oh, okay, there we go. Okay. All right. Ying. All right, so what you are seeing is a black screen because for some reason my camera is not. Well, you know what? Let's use the other camera, and I'm just going to hand hold it. So if you get dizzy, please bear with me. And I don't mean to make you dizzy. All right, so we are going to scroll across my messy, messy room and come over to the Meridian right here. Can you see? You can't see that. Oh, good gracious. I am having problems with my cameras right now. Oh my goodness. You guys can't even see me. How embarrassing. All right, let's see here. What do we do? This is embarrassing. Please select another video camera from the settings. Okay, well, let's go to settings. Nope, nope. Nothing like things happening. Let's go here. Okay. Okay. Well, guys, we may be, we might have some issues here. Okay, well, if you can hear my voice, it looks like that I'm going to have to click off, reload, and click back on. So what I'm going to do is log out, log back on, and see if we can finish this. I hope if you guys don't hang on for that, I hope you guys have a fabulous Labor Day weekend. But if not, I'll see you in just a minute. All right, here I'm logging off right now.